Once upon a time, in a village that curved like a smile along a slow river, there lived a person named Amina. People in the market knew Amina for careful hands that mended cloth and gentle fingers that tied small knots on newborn blankets. Amina kept to their routines: morning bread, sweeping the pathway, helping neighbors with small troubles. And the river kept to its remembering names the wind forgot. One dawn, the elder midwife at the far side of the village sent word. She needed help with a birth. The midwife was thin with long years, and her voice sometimes shook when she asked for herbs or a warm blanket. Amina folded a clean cloth into their basket and walked the path by the river, thinking of the soft palms that had steadied a child's head before. When Amina arrived, the young mother, Sifa, was sweating and holding the woven mat tight. The elder midwife moved with the slow, sure steps of someone who had seen many mornings. She looked at Amina and nodded. "Come," she said. "Hold the baby as I guide." Amina stepped close. Their hands knew how to soothe the fevered forehead and how to press an aching thigh. They listened to the elder's quick instructions: where to press, when to whisper a soft count, and followed. Outside, some neighbors paused in their doorways. A few mouths formed questions. "A man helping in a birth? Is that right?" Some looked surprised. Some watched with the same stale hope they showed for any laboring woman. Amina felt those eyes, but they only felt the warm weight of the mother and the steady pull of the task. For a long while, the child did not want to come. The contractions slowed as if the world was holding its breath. The elder midwife frowned and touched Sifa's hand. "We will ask the river," she said. The village had always called the river to witness important things. It remembered names and promises. People said the river listened when words alone did not help. They stepped outside and placed their palms against the cool water. The elder tied a thin strip of cloth around Amina's wrist, a small sign, older than speech, that said, "We trust you with this life. Speak the name you carry," the elder told Amina softly. "Amina," Amina answered. It felt strange to say their name into the water, but the river was a patient listener. They went back inside, and as if the earth had finally decided, the labor moved. The child slid into the world with the first small loud cry that filled the room like morning light. Amina's hands brought the child to the mother's chest, and everyone breathed as one. Outside, the murmurs changed. The people who had wondered now bowed their heads with relief. Kofi, a trader who had once said a man should not tend births, pushed through the doorway with a sharp face. "A man in a midwife's place," he said, loud enough to make the room quiet. "This is wrong!" Amina looked at him without anger. "It is not the shape of the body that does the keeping," they said simply. It is the hands and the heart. The elder stepped forward. "The river remembers whom it calls," she said. "Today it chose Amina. That is enough." Kofi's mouth stayed a straight line, but he saw the warm weight of the newborn, the soft way it slept on its mother's chest, and the way the neighbor's relief looked like a cloth being smoothed. He could not answer that. After the birth, the village changed in small ways. Amina started to teach others how to tie a knot that would not slip, how to hold a baby's head when it slipped in sleep, how to watch the breath when the nights were hard. Some men came shyly to learn. Some women asked questions that were loud and careful. Children watched and learned that care could be done by any hands giving the right patience. A few weeks later, Amina returned to the river bend at dusk. They put their palms to the water and listened to the small, cold ripples. The river sounded like a long exhale. A woman sitting nearby folded cloth and looked up. "You asked for the river once," she said. "Did it answer?" Amina smiled. "It answered," they said. "Not with words I would write on paper, but with a stillness that lets the child come. It reminded me that names are not cages, they are paths." The woman nodded. "We will call you by the name you walked," she said, "and we will teach our children that hands that hold life are good hands." People in the village would not always stop their questions overnight. Old ideas linger like dust in a corner, and sometimes the trader Kofi still frowned when a man carried a basket of baby blankets. But more often now, when someone was in need, the village looked to the person who could help, not the person's shape. They learned to listen to river's slow answers, a good hand, a steady voice, a willing heart. Amina kept their basket and their quiet work, and sometimes sat by the river to braid small strips of cloth into bands. When children asked why they do it, Amina gave them a ribbon and said, "So the river remembers us all." And the river listened. It kept the names that were whispered into its water and carried them downriver, where they met new places, and sometimes came back different, like lessons worn smooth by travel. In time, more hands learned to hold without counting who they were meant to be. Once, when the moon hung low and the village slept, Amina rested with their hand on the infant's small foot and thought how life had a way of arriving when helpers showed up with open palms. They knew they would keep helping as long as they could, because the river had taught them that care was the truest way to answer a name. And so, the village moved forward along its winding river, learning in small, steady days that the work of keeping life was for anyone giving a willing heart and careful hands. The river kept remembering, and the people kept learning from it. The end.